Okay, guys, it is time for another Best in the Business, and I'm pretty excited about this one. We are talking who is the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. I don't know if there's any other ones, but we're talking WWE here, by the way, in case you didn't get that, in case that wasn't obvious. But, all right, I am Jake, a.k.a. Bomber. I am joined here today by Matt Zion, Peanut.
Oh my God, he's alive!
Oh,
the coming of Jesus is back to the job of radio. Let's go ahead and let's praise the sun.
he is here.
As long as the Mexican isn't here.
God damn it.
Yeah,
Peanut,
no
Peanut.
Mexicans allowed.
No Rab, but we do have the outsiders. We got Lee. We got Scott. Guys, are you ready to talk the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time?
We are gonna protect this
not
more
really.
than you can ever see, but no Mexicans. Fake news.
Yeah, fuck that Mark who uses Matt Zion's picture and is always in the comment section.
That guy's good at getting under people's skin. He's good at it.
He doesn't get under my skin. He just bores the fuck out of me. You should try better next time.
Oh, Lee's firing shots.
Oh, no.
Lee, what if
be an
it was
interesting one.
revealed that that's just me? I just use it.
Well, then I'd be really disappointed in you. I would have thought you were better than that. But
Bomber, by the way, there is also the IWGP Intercontinental title. That's obviously this is WWE.
Yes,
so.
yes. This is the WWE.
There is one.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
This is a small bracket too. Let's throw that up there. There's almost 100 guys who held this belt. They're not all great. So
Yeah, and
we're talking the reigns, not the guys who held it, but the reigns of the guys, right?
yes, this is
Yeah.
this is overall, to your opinion,
Yeah.
who is the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time?
This is brought to you by your WWE Heavyweight Champion, Jinder Mahal.
Terrible.
Hey.
Nice way to date this, but I hate
Yeah,
you.
by the way. And so, Matt,
Listen.
I believe you and I are the only ones still undefeated with our picks.
Oh, still dating. You guys are
2-0.
continuing to date this. This is supposed to be evergreen content here.
I don't care. No, that's fine. The streak continues.
No, Jinder is going to have the title for 10 years.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
that's also possible, but probably
listen,
unlikely.
Bomber, I used to think you were a pretty cool guy. I didn't think you were one of those guys who's going to discriminate against gender. But
Yeah, he's hindering.
He's
But, I
hindering
mean,
the gender.
fuck
but
gender.
your gender discrimination is just it's uncalled for in 2017. Sir. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
It may be terrible. Stop dating the goddamn video. Here we go.
Yeah.
We're gonna do this
And-
thing.
By the way, it's a long
May
weekend here. Victoria
22nd,
Day.
2017, Mahal is champion.
Oh my god. Okay.
So
So
let's start. Let's go.
this is a 16-person bracket, and this is basically what we wanted to do from day one. Is all 16, but it's morphed into different things. But anyway, we're gonna start off match number 1 up in the top left. We're talking Rick Rude, ravishing Rick Rude versus Tito Santana. I don't think I did that right, but anyway, let's see. How about Lee? How about you start this one off? Who do you think between those two was the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time? Between those two,
Rick Rude had the more high-profile matches when he was holding that belt, and he was definitely slotted for something bigger. You know, it was just unfortunately injuries and shit kind of sidelined him way too early. Tito Santana, come on, he was always just kind of jobber to the stars for the most part. He had some tag team success. I honestly didn't even remember him having the IC belt, to give you the fucking
really?
truth there. Yeah, I couldn't remember it at all. It was that significant in my mind. Rick Rude, I definitely remember. I definitely remember some of the big matches he had with it. So I think Rick Rude just goes ahead. I mean, you could probably argue Santana's the better worker, but he was also just the jobber to the stars guy. So it's just like,
Interesting. That's perfect. Okay, well that's one for Rude. So I'm gonna jump in right quick because I'm just gonna counter you right here. Rick Rude, to me, I do remember him as champion. I remember like that being a cool thing. But you know what? As I went back and looked at it, and I looked at who he fought and watched some of his matches, I completely did not realize that Rick Rude's title reign was a complete sack of shit. And that's my opinion. Because guess what? After looking at it, I think Rick Rude's title run was nothing but it revolved around Ultimate Warrior because he beat the Warrior, took the title, which was huge, by the way. That was a big thing. But his entire time holding the title, he didn't do shit. He didn't face really anybody like noteworthy. There was no memorable matches. And then next thing you know, he loses the title to Ultimate Warrior. I think because Ultimate Warrior was such a mega star back then that the title was elevated so high that when Rick Rude got it, he was automatically put on this pedestal, and then he was automatically up there no matter what. I don't think he elevated the title. It's hard to elevate the title from Ultimate Warrior anyway, but I don't think he elevated it in any way, and I don't think he really diminished it. I think he was just there. He had that one reign. It was 148 days, and that's a good length. But again, no big matches, nothing special. And then I went and looked at Tito, and I remember the only stuff I seen of Tito back when I was younger was a lot of, as you said, I guess tag stuff and stuff like that. And I remember him in every single fucking Royal Rumble there ever was. I remember he would always run in there.
He would always pop up in a battle royal.
Yeah, and he was just that guy wearing the white trunks or fucking yellow trunks, whatever the fuck, or pink. No, that wasn't pink. That was Martel, right? Yeah. Anyway, he really didn't stand out to me at all. But I went back and looked at his title runs. He had 2 of them, and I don't think Tito elevated the title when it came to like popularity and prestige and stuff, but I think he definitely elevated the title when it came to match quality, because you had guys like Muraco and Patterson and Pedro and some other fucking guy that nobody remembers was Intercontinental Champion for a long time. And he came in, and he to me was the first guy that was a good wrestler, a good worker, and put the title on the map for being a good, I guess, in-ring performer, I guess you can say. So, actually, when I went back and looked at it, I'm going to go with Tito Santana here. He had a lot more interesting matches with people like Paul Orndorff, Iron Sheik, Roddy Piper, even Mr. Fuji. So, I think that's, I don't know. In my opinion, I think Rick Rude's title reign was completely overrated. But that's my opinion. How about Matt Zion? You go next.
Well, considering our savior Jinder Mahal just won the WWE title last night, that has a lot to do with my decision making here. No, I just think Rick Rude's interaction with Ultimate Warrior means a lot more than anything Tito did with the IC title. So Rick Rude.
Okay. All right. There you go. Scott, how about you go next?
That's kind of hard to argue against. Rude literally stole it at Mania from the Warrior and then lost it back at SummerSlam to the Warrior. Mm-hmm. And that was simply Warrior getting comeuppance against Rude, and happy day. There was no other pay-per-views back in the 1989 when they did that. It went Mania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series. So big show to big show. Tito had it. He took it from Muraco. He traded it with Valentine, got it back, and then lost it to Macho Man, who I remember is the first IC champ when I was watching stuff. He was the one who had it. So I always saw footage of Tito, and then I knew him from other stuff. I never knew him as IC champ, but he did have it for a fair stretch in the 80s, but nothing noteworthy. All the stuff that he did noteworthy was more stuff like Strike Force and things afterwards. So I've kind of got to go with Rude, because even though his reign, like, he didn't defend it against notable people, it was much more noteworthy, maybe thanks to the era, sure, but it was just a bigger deal. Like, he had feuds with this thing airbrushed on the tights, and it means more than this, and it was great. Rude, neither guy elevated it, but Rude benefited more, so I'll go with Rude.
All right. Peanut, who do you got in this one?
Well, Bummer, you kind of summed things up great for me. And it's the first round, so I won't go on and on. My pick is Rick Rude.
Really?
That's it.
God damn it! The fuck?
That was wonderful.
Pick. It doesn't matter really who I vote for, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, Peanut.
He already moved on,
yes,
so.
Technically, yes. That's 3. There were 3 votes for Rude already.
And we only have 1 hour, so I just want to keep things moving.
Yeah, we only have 1 hour.
58 minutes.
1
and
hour,
2
1 minute.
You obviously have never listened to one of these. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, moving on in the bracket, the most overrated. That's not right. The most overrated champion, Intercontinental Champion ever, Rick Rude. Okay.
Ever?
I don't know.
Oh, we got it. Oh,
we got another Daniel Bryan going.
Oh, yeah. Let's go. Let's move on. Let's go. Who's
Here
next?
we go.
We'll
The next match, Don Muraco versus Jeff Hardy. Okay. Zion, you want to start this one off?
Not really,
Okay.
because I don't know much about Don Muraco. I want to hear Lee first, so I can
You wanna
piggyback
hear
off of Lee.
Lee first. Okay. Well, Lee, you've been thrown up there.
It's a
So
new show. Lee first.
who do you got, Lee?
Oh man, honestly, this is gonna be the hardest fucking thing that we do for as far as brackets go, because
Really?
honestly, I don't remember most of these early fucking IC title guys. Like, this is the period of the WWF that I just can't fucking watch. Like, it's just the in-ring is generally so fucking bad before guys like Macho Man and stuff came onto the scene and really started to elevate the work rate. It was just that slow, plodding New York style where there was very little technical wrestling. It was all just fucking punch, kick, rest, hold bullshit. And unfortunately, Don Muraco just kind of comes out of that era, and I don't remember any of his IC title stuff for the most part. And honestly, Jeff Hardy, I don't remember any of his fucking IC title stuff too, because it's another period where I really didn't watch WWE that much. Was, when he was having his first sort of big run through the fucking Federation. And man, yeah, I'm just gonna say Jeff Hardy, I guess.
Oh, ouch.
I remember him a bit more than Don Muraco. That's about all I remember from Don Muraco from the '80s, honestly, that I've watched is fucking stuff he did with Mr. Fuji. Was it Karachi Vice or whatever the fuck it was?
Mm-hmm.
Fuji Vice.
Fuji Vice, yeah. So that's all I remember. Like, the rest of it is just like, yeah, I just can't watch WWF from that period, really. It just kind of, ugh.
Okay.
All right, throw it back.
No, I'm gonna go.
No, throw it back. No.
All
I
right,
gave him a pass.
Okay,
Yeah, fuck
go
yeah.
for
Fuck yeah.
it.
Jinder Mahal rules.
God damn,
That's
go
the
for
rules.
it.
Wow, great job being a host, Bomber.
Yeah, Don Muraco. I've seen a couple of his matches. I liked his character, but Lee is correct. His work, he came from a time where wrestling was shit. Like, it wasn't good. It was all about characters. I liked his promos. I remember the few things about him are he had really, really fun promos. But I mean, I don't even think it's that hard to pick Jeff in this. I don't think Jeff's gonna go super far, but I think Jeff did more with the IC title. Like, I always remember when Jeff won it the very first time, the throwaway title run where he beat Triple H, like when they were doing the Hardys versus Triple H and Austin thing. Mm-hmm. So that was a pretty memorable moment. I just think Jeff was using it to eventually get up to the heavyweight title, and that's like my biggest thing. If they used it to elevate themselves, then I think that's more important than somebody who just used it to just hold it for a really long time.
Yep.
So I'm going to go with Jeff Hardy.
All right. You're definitely going to hear me talk about that as we go through this, exactly what you said right there. But in this match, I will say that you guys are way fucking wrong. I've done, obviously, a lot of research on this, watched a lot of stuff, seen a lot of stuff, and Don Muraco, yes, he was before our time as far as when we watched and stuff like that, but, man, I didn't realize how big of a role Don Muraco was in the history of the Intercontinental title. I'm not just talking about, like, how long he had it, because he ended up having it for a total of 541 days through 2 reigns. And just put that in little perspective, him and Pedro Morales early on, they held the title, just the two of them, from 1980 all the way to 1984, okay? That's just 2 guys. They traded the title, like, twice, I think it was, and, like, meaning they each only had it twice over 4 years. And I'm a huge title history buff. I really do like long title reigns. I like seeing like just long historic epic title runs. That's really big for me. And I don't know any way to put this than you guys are crazy, because how do you not know? Okay, everybody probably knows it from Jimmy Snuka, the leaping off the top of the cage, right? That was an epic, a fucking amazing cage match with Don Muraco for the Intercontinental title. Which I know a lot of guys, you've seen just the one clip of Jimmy Snuka jumping off the cage, hitting the splash, and that's all you remember. Almost, I mean, that's what
because
sucks.
that's all that matters. Nobody cares that Don Muraco took the splash.
That was shown for a Snuka moment more than anything.
nobody gives a fuck who else was in that match. It was the splash.
I've seen the match. It's not that great.
At that point in time, that was one of the good cage matches in the WWF, which back then it was, I don't know, cage matches were.
Too.
Yes,
And good murder.
Yeah, you're right. But yeah,
Back
they're
then,
also
good
pretty rare.
matches were rare in the WWF.
Sure.
I mean,
and
let's get serious. Come on.
Yes.
Most
I
of
know
the
what you're
stuff-
saying.
For
It
that
was
point-
totally important.
For that point in time, it was a very good match. It had very good moments and stuff like that. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And Muraco always found a way to come out on top. And he did. He had a long list of guys that were great guys that he beat. And I think he was a fantastic guy. Him and Pedro, to me, I'm going to say it later on when we talk about Pedro, but both of those guys, to me, were like the foundation of the Intercontinental title. Those guys fucking brought it up to be a major title and actually worth something. Even though we didn't watch it back in the day. I went back and watched a lot of stuff. People were fucking nuts over Pedro and Muraco. Now, as far as Jeff Hardy goes, I fucking love the whole thing with him and Triple H. That's, to me, I vividly fucking remember that whole thing between Triple H and when Jeff Hardy came and won, Matt came out and everything and hit Triple H. I was going fucking insane. That, to me, also was the moment where I realized that Jeff Hardy can make it as a solo guy, as a solo star. And that piggybacks right off the perfect point you made, Matt, saying that he ended up using it as a title that would go on to elevate him to get the world title. And that is always huge. But I don't know. I just maybe old-fashioned here as far as some stuff goes, but I'm going to rely on the building of the title as opposed to Jeff Hardy having just some decent matches, nothing super memorable, decent matches. I'm going to go with Don Muraco on this one. So, Scott, I'll let you go next.
I'm on a bit of both sides of it because I love the title history. I've got it up here while I'm looking at it, and you're right. Muraco and Morales, their second reigns were both over a year, and hell, Pedro's was just like 20 days shy of Honky Tonk, and that's the record. So
Yeah.
there's some big history there. Those guys did help make the title what it is because it went right from them into Santana and Savage, and now we're into that era with Steamboat and all that. So they did help create what this damn thing even is. Hardy, you're right. His matches, I don't remember specifics about them, but I do remember them being wars for that title. Like, that thing meant everything to them because the prestige was there and they were going for it. And that mattered and they wanted it. He feuded with, Morrison or Nitro he was at the time, Umaga, stuff like that, Kofi, I think.
Yeah.
I kind of lean toward Muraco in this simply because of what he did, because Muraco was all kinds of awesome back in the stuff I have seen from that. His matches might not have been as much, but he was the Magnificent Muraco. Officially, I think was his ring name.
Correct,
when he was
yes.
the bad guy there. He became Don the Rock Muraco after that. But no, I think I got to go with Muraco just from how he helped create the foundation of what the thing even is. And I don't think Jeff Hardy is one of the guys who surpassed him on that. Others definitely did. I'm a big proponent in someone doing it better later. Hardy fought wars for it, but I think Muraco's were just a bit better in that sense, like in what they meant.
Gotcha. Yeah, and definitely, obviously, Jeff Hardy is the way more entertaining wrestler to watch. That's no doubt about it. But as far as when you think the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, I don't know how anyone in the world will ever say
Santino Marella.
Jeff Hardy over. We're getting there. Jeff Hardy over Don Muraco. But guess what?
Well, your reason right there is because a lot of people don't even think of Don Muraco.
I know.
Because way more people know about Jeff Hardy. That's the unfairness inherently of it.
So
So
now,
the deciding vote goes to the youngest
Yep.
person.
That's it. How fun is this going to be, Peanut? It's 2-2. Who gets the win here, Don Muraco or Jeff Hardy?
You know, Don Muraco, I know him as a guy in the Hall of Fame. 2006, maybe. I could be wrong about that. So, I don't really have any background on him. Jeff Hardy, I kind of grew up watching him. Those memories are there for me. And I think, those are some fun matches that I could actually go back and watch. Scott mentioned his matches with Nitro, like that ladder match on Raw was, phenomenal. Who gets the vote, though?
Ooh.
Oh, please don't do that.
Jeff Hardy.
Jeff Hardy. Okay.
That's
Okay.
all.
All right. Okay.
Suck it, John Don Muraco. Oh,
Okay.
shake your little orbs with beans in them.
Okay. Okay. All right. We are already off to a fucking horrible start here.
Oh, this is amazing. I love it.
Hold on,
Let's make Jake as mad as
Okay.
possible.
Remember everything I said about how both are good. Remember, goddamn it, Bomber. That, yeah, you have your opinions, but they're wrong. You need that on a shirt, for Christ's sake.
I guess so, but no. Seriously. Jeff Hardy
Everybody's right.
over
You guys are
Don
right.
goddamn Morocco?
That's
Yeah.
all right. I mean,
I mean,
I get
Peanut,
the
get the fuck
argument.
out of here. Bring the coin back. Get the fucking
you,
coin
Peanut.
in here.
Thanks for siding with the real
Let's
people.
move on.
everybody.
This is going to be good.
I'm just trying to win Matt Science love back.
All right.
So I'm
Yeah,
just gonna
no,
side with him.
Thankful Bomber that Daniel
Like it.
Bryan only had it for 2 months before he got hurt. Otherwise, he'd be on here.
Moving on. Here we go.
I think I was.
The next match. The next match. We have Chris Jericho versus The Miz. There's probably a lot of people arguing that The Miz should not be on this list, but either way, we're going to start with this. How about Matt Zahn? You know both these guys. How about you start this one for real?
He totally deserves to be on here because Miz has had, I'd argue, in the last 2 years, Miz is easily one of the best champions. The problem is that he's never going to be evaluated to heavyweight title, and Jericho's reign. I don't think Jericho's reign ever really elevated him. They just kind of pushed him when they were ready because he just was mid-card for a long time until they finally gave him a push. But it's almost like father versus son because they're almost the exact same type of champion to me. They're just placeholders. They're just kind of holding it because they need someone that's reliable to have the belt. But they're both good. I've liked both of both of them as champion. Miz has been stronger recently. I think Miz's previous run on SmackDown as champion was stronger than probably anything Jericho did. But Jericho, whenever you think IC title, I think Jericho's one of the contenders for best of all time. And not only has he held it the most, but he's always, God, he just was one of those guys who's always so reliable that they could put him in a match and he would always get it over. He's just a very reliable person to put the IC title on when they didn't have a clear goal for it. I'm going to go for Jericho just because I have fonder memories overall of Jericho as champion rather than Miz. I think Miz's one run was really strong, but his other runs were just all right. They weren't super great, when he won it or lost it to Barrett, wasn't it? And then he won it back and stuff. So
Yes.
The original ones weren't that great, but that last one on SmackDown was fucking awesome. But it's not good enough to bump off Jericho, so I'm going to go with Chris.
All right. I'm going to go next. I know pretty confident Jericho's going to win, but I'm just going to go. I'm going to talk more about him later because I'm confident he's going to beat The Miz. I'm just going to tell you motherfuckers why you should not vote for the goddamn Miz here. Yes, his first title reigns, I think his first 4 title reigns of his 6 were all absolute fucking horse shit, and just that is one of the reasons a lot of people listen to the show. If you haven't before, guess what? I've never liked The Miz, and what he did to the Intercontinental title is a big reason why I don't like the fucking Miz. He, to me, destroyed the fucking Intercontinental title. The prestige of the title went down so much with the Miz's first fucking title reigns. He was there was this whole section of the Intercontinental title history with guys that should never have ever fucking touched the title, let alone held it as many times as The Miz. I agree, The Miz probably should have been a champion at some point in time, but you had guys like Curtis Axel, Ezekiel Jackson, Drew McIntyre, Wade Barrett, 5 fucking times Wade Barrett held this title. Kofi Kingston, 4. I like Kofi, but 4 times as Intercontinental Champion? No, fuck off. No, this whole section of current, these are the current generation, I guess, of Intercontinental Champions. The Miz started the shit run of just, he wins it, loses it to some shithead, wins it again, loses it to another shithead, wins it, loses it to another shithead. It's...
Wait, he lost the title to Don Muraco?
No, goddamn. No.
So that's crazy.
No, but
this is so political of you to talk someone down instead of talk up your guy.
But at the end of the day, yes, I also do agree The Miz has done really good things and is actually beginning to elevate the title back up to something worth a damn. But he was a big factor in destroying the prestige of this title.
I want to say one thing, though, real quick, because I don't want to be super hypocritical on it. But yeah. I personally think Jericho started the whole wins it, loses it, wins it, loses it. Like Jericho's the first guy that I remember that they would put the belt on, he'd lose it, and then he'd win it back a couple weeks. Like they did that when The Rock was gone. The Rock was gone on an episode of SmackDown, and they had Jericho in the main event, and they had him lose the belt to Benoit, and then he won it back immediately, and then they just exchanged it. So like Miz again was like the son of Jericho. Jericho's the one that started the flip-flopping.
Yes.
You want to blame anybody, you blame Jericho.
No, I am not blaming the flip-flopping. I am blaming the flip-flopping to horrible to champion, to different people, to other people that should never even be in there. That he didn't have good matches. That he did not have good matches with. Jericho had amazing matches with China, Benoit, Triple H, RVD, Shelton, Rey Mysterio, Hardy. He even had a fucking great match with Kane. And The Miz, just no, and no one, and no. Lately,
wow, this is real bias. This is real bias, buddy, because they're both exactly the same. They both flip flop. Doesn't matter who they did it to. They both flip flopped. I don't know. I think you hate the Miz. That's all there is to it.
I absolutely do hate the Miz, and it's because of what he did with the Intercontinental title. But anyway,
also,
I'm gonna go.
CZW.
I'm gonna go. No, Chris Jericho is my pick. You wanted to go next, Scott? Go for it.
I do, because everything you're saying is like loosely true, but not really, but is.
Huh? What's wrong?
I see what you're saying.
Story.
I do see what you're saying. That 2009 to 12 period with Barrett and Kingston and Ziggler and McIntyre and Morrison and Mysterio, it bounced around so much, but you go back almost 5-6 years to when Jericho was kind of last having it, and it traded monthly. And a big part of that was because they were doing the brand split and things like that and trying to make these things elevated and make it seem like our show's important. Look, title changes, blah, blah, blah. And the whole idea of pay-per-views every month and all this stuff was running thin. Let's get people to watch it. Let's have the IC title change. That title had been weak since around Hardy having it and such. Like, it was weak for a good 10 years. They unified the damn thing and got rid of it for a while, if you remember.
I do.
So they brought it back. Cody brought it back with the white strap. That was awesome. And Miz was around that period, and he was just one of the guys, along with Axel and Barrett and Big Show. They tried to do stuff with it, but no one took it seriously because it was so devalued. And that was before The Miz. He didn't help raise it, but it was down there. Like, we're talking CM Punk and JBL in this period, even.
No. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, so to come around to it, Miz, his fifth reign, which was that incredible one with Ziggler and all that when he stole it from Ryder with Maurice back, is almost enough to overlook all of that, I think. But, I mean, Jericho is the 9-time one. He has it most than anyone. At this rate, Miz will get there. He only needs 3 more, and it wouldn't surprise me if he did it. I mean, he should have won his 7th this past week, for crying out loud. Like, he's doing the same thing. And it really is, like Matt said, an even battle in that sense. None of Jericho's reigns have been as good as Miz's 5th, but I think stuff during Jericho's reigns were better, like the ladder match with Benoit, the Manias and stuff with Angle and all that. They were better overall. So I am going with Jericho, but Miz was pretty damn good this most recent time, but you can't blame him for the decline the title had when Christian had it, and it wasn't even on Mania or things like that. Like, it's not just him. There was a lot of people. He's one of them, but there was a lot. So, like, JBL and Mysterio, for crying out loud, was a weak feud, and that actually made it to Mania and ended in 30 seconds. Yeah. He's not the only guy to pull this shit.
Sure. But you have to see a huge difference. Jericho, the Intercontinental title is known as it's usually the best match on the card. It's usually, and whenever the Miz had it, Miz versus Ezekiel Jackson, is that going to be the best match on the card? No. Jericho versus Chris Benoit, is that going to be the best match on the card? Yeah, it might flip-flop. Jericho and China, fucking amazing shit. Jericho, Triple H, those were still, that held the integrity of the Intercontinental title. But with the Miz matches, Miz versus, who the fuck was that? Drew McIntyre, Curtis Axel, like, fuck that. No way.
Jericho and China was not amazing. I just have to
No, it wasn't.
I remember that being, I remember
enjoying
enjoying quite a bit.
China's matches with Jericho were they were the only reason I remember them is because she won the belt. That's it. I remember nothing that happened in those matches.
I remember.
Do you remember when Jericho traded it with RVD? I don't, but they did. like stuff like that you're talking about. It is like it's not as memorable just because of the names that were involved. I don't remember that
You don't
stuff.
remember-
I remember he had it 9 times. Okay,
So none of you remember the stuff with China,
I remember it, but it because it was China. That's noteworthy.
but you don't remember.
She,
okay. You don't
like,
you don't
it
remember when like they ended up both being champion at one point. You don't remember any of
I
that stuff.
remember it, but that doesn't mean it
yeah,
was good.
I remember that being one of the stupidest things I've ever seen.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I
they should-
hated the
Yeah,
co-championship.
Wow.
That was horrible. I love title histories. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Okay.
It's a thing that happened, and here we go. That doesn't make him one of the best champions. He had to share one of his reigns with someone who really shouldn't probably have had it.
Okay. Well, maybe it's just me and it was entertaining to me. I don't know. Maybe because I just liked it. But
Yep.
If it
That
could have
is-
been entertaining, but you're saying that's one of the
That's-
best ever?
That's exactly
Anyway,
it.
we got to move on, but I don't.
Lee, go for it.
Blaming Miz is horrible for that. So
Yeah, you can't throw all the blame on Miz's back, and it sounds like you're trying to really do that, which is just kind of dumb, I think, because the Miz can't help who he had opponents with in his first 3 or 4 reigns. I mean, the mid card was just decimated and just full of fucking creator wrestlers from WWF 2000 or whatever. You know, it's like fucking. You just can't blame him for that because the Miz. Yeah, he's not the better worker than Jericho. You can definitely make the argument that in all of Jericho's title reigns with the IC title, he definitely had better matches overall. Fine. But The Miz has actually done something to elevate that title in the last couple reigns that Jericho never actually did. So I have to give it to The Miz, honestly, because, I mean, when I think of Jericho, when I think of his significant title reigns, I think of, like, when he came back as that dead serious character and held the world title for a while. That was a great run. I think of his cruiserweight championship run in WCW. That was a great run. When I think of his IC title runs, I don't think of any of them as being great or impressive or doing anything for the belt. When I think of the Miz's last couple, I think at least the Miz has done something with the belt and stepped up and gotten better and noticeably better. And so I have to go with the Miz.
Okay. I will say that I believe the Miz will definitely pass Jericho. By the way, as number of title reigns.
oh yeah.
Yep.
I'm surprised you don't like him more. He hates Brian, so
Yeah. Hates him.
anyway, so there we
All
go.
right, Pino, he got.
Well, Lee, you said it well. I was gonna kind of jump on that. Like the Miz, when he had his last run, it was like one of the first times in a while where you were like, the Intercontinental title match should be the main event. I think it was at No Mercy or whatever with Ziggler. When Jericho had the title, he had some good feuds. Mysterio come in mind. That was back in 2009. But I think the Miz's past year as champion in 10, 15 years, that might go down as one of the greatest runs of all time. So I'm also going to give my vote to the Miz.
Okay. Yeah, and that is one thing that kind of sucks, that the Miz has still got future stuff, but I mean, yeah, that is kind of shitty. That I do agree. He's definitely on the upward trend. He's definitely doing stuff now. But that is unfortunate that he still has a long way to go, and he'll probably win it the next pay-per-view. So, but either way, all right. Well, on that note, the votes are 3-2. Chris Jericho will advance over the Miz. And moving on to the next match, we have Macho Man Randy Savage versus Razor Ramon. Scott, how about you start this one off?
This is an interesting one because Razor was like the first guy to hit 3 or 4 of the reign and held that forever. I think until Jericho actually. He kind of tried to elevate it, but it always seemed like, to me, when he had the title, it was always a case of when's he going to get a world title shot? Because, I mean, he had the one against Bret when he was a bad guy, but it always seemed like this is what he's got while someone else is world title guy. Like, he kind of got stuck in that spot. He never was able to elevate out when it felt like he should have. Macho Man, like I said before, he was the guy, when I first started watching wrestling, he was the IC champion. So you had Hogan doing his thing. He's the big superhero muscle guy destroying the monsters. But then Macho Man's having these crazy, awesome matches with everybody. I'm like, this is the fun one to watch. I know people that didn't like wrestling would see Macho Man wrestle at that era and be like, I want to see more of that. Like, he was that fucking good. So it's kind of hard to pick against Razor in the sense of how much he did, but his feuds were with Diesel and Jarrett and Dean Douglas and a little bit of Goldust and kind of Michaels, but Macho Man, goddamn, Macho had one of the best reigns. Again, this is this nostalgia from when I remember it, but it kind of defined what that title is for me. And I still think of that when I think of it. Like, we're talking Benoit and Jericho and guys like that. What they should be, what we think of when we think of Jericho, at least, and that's what we come up with. So I got to go with Macho Man on this. Definitely.
All right. Peanut, how about you go for it?
Macho Man. Thank you.
Goddamn, Peanut.
Damn it! You didn't. Damn it! I was gonna fucking do that.
Why are you here, Peanut? Do you have
to cast a vote?
Any opinion at all over Razor Ramon and Macho Man, or you're just going with just Macho Man?
Macho Man. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, I think he's piggybacking off of mine.
That's
there's gonna be more to say. So.
Wait. All right, you're going first next, buddy. You better start practicing right now. All right, Matt Zion, who you got in this one? Macho Man, Razor.
Yeah,
Ramon.
Razor was fine, but like Macho Man's probably my pick to win this whole thing. So I'm gonna go with Macho Man.
Okay. Lee, who you got?
Oh yeah, listen.
Yes.
There it is.
Although the Macho Man might have just had the belt for a little cup of coffee compared to some of these people in the brackets, yeah, the Macho Man took the title and elevated it like nobody else did, yeah. So I'm gonna take the title and I'm gonna win this tournament, yeah.
All right, I guess that's another one for Macho Man.
No, he clearly voted for Razor Ramon.
Okay, there we go.
Macho Man had it for 414 days. Razor's 4 altogether was 439.
Hey,
so that's a good cup of coffee for Macho.
Yeah, that's a lot of coffee. He might want to go to the doctor for.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Well, if you ever listen to any of my promos, you know I drink big cups of coffee. Yeah.
Yep, and as for me, yes, also going with Macho Man here. Razor Ramon, I really thought. I don't think anybody looked as cool with the Intercontinental title as Razor Ramon. I just remember him looking really fucking cool with like just his whole like look, his hair, the toothpick, everything, and then the title just around his waist looked really fucking cool to me. I don't know why, but I always remember that. It looked really fucking awesome.
Is it an aura?
Nope, no aura, just the look. Yeah. Just the look.
But no, you're right. It fit him perfect. It was one of the ones that like that looks right there.
He looked so cool as when I was a kid. I fucking loved him as the Intercontinental Champion. But I think you said when you started watching wrestling, Macho Man was the first champion, right?
Yep.
Same here. I remember when I started watching, Macho Man was the Intercontinental Champion, and that was definitely not dragging it out, but Macho Man gets my vote as well. So there it is, clean sweep for Macho Man over Razor Ramon. Moving on to the other side of the bracket, we're talking Triple H versus the Honky Tonk Man. Peanut, I hope you practiced. You're going first. What do you got?
Triple H as Intercontinental Champion, he had that cool video that they use in all the highlight videos of him holding the World Championship and the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah.
The Honky Tonk Man, I don't know. When I think of the Intercontinental title, I kind of think he's one of those people I think of. You know, he was more of a kind of comedic act, but I don't know. I don't really think of Triple H as Intercontinental Champion too much, so I'm going to go with Honky Tonk Man's.
Okay, nothing wrong with that. Matt Zion, who you got?
Like Triple H didn't use the belt to become like heavyweight champion. Like his heel turn with Stephanie, essentially, or his heel turn, I guess, right before when they pushed him to heavyweight. But then, like, what made him a solid heavyweight was the heel turn with Stephanie, like having Stephanie join him. So I don't think the IC title ever really elevated him much. I remember he had that like fantastic match with The Rock. I believe it was at SummerSlam for the IC title.
Fuck yeah.
That was fucking awesome. Like that's probably the only thing when it comes to the IC title besides losing it to Jeff Hardy that I can remember. I think I'm just gonna give it to Honky Tonk Man because I just like when you think of the IC title, I always think of him. I always think of him, even though his matches were fucking terrible. But you know what though? When he lost it to the Ultimate Warrior, that was amazing. Like that was a fucking genuine moment. Like when you watch that, like I didn't even obviously see it live because I don't think I was alive. But the fact that like when you go back and watch that, it's an amazing moment. And the fact that it's just, I just always think of the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, the Honky Tonk Man. And I just don't think Triple H really screams IC to me, and I think Honky Tonk Man does. Neither guy's going to win anyway, so I'm going to pass Honky Tonk Man.
I respect that. I'll go first, or next. I don't know why I said first. Is that last time we did this damn thing? Anyway, Triple H, I didn't realize, going back and looking, I didn't know he was Intercontinental Champion 5 times. I know it came near the end. He got the 2 title, the 2 of them with Jeff Hardy. And he was, as you said earlier, Scott, he was the one that I think merged or unified the Intercontinental title, which got rid of it for a while. But yeah, just as you said, the 2 main things I remember from Triple H's run was the amazing match with Rock, which I think is pretty fucking underrated as far as ladder matches goes. I think that may be one of the top 5 ladder matches of all time, but it's pretty underrated there. And yeah, Jeff Hardy. I really liked how he helped elevate Jeff Hardy and helped elevate the his movement, his momentum towards going towards the top, and which would eventually lead to Hardy going on to be a top guy. To me, that's the 2 big things for Triple H. Honky Tonk Man, obviously, fucking 454 days, which is just insane to think about. Like, even then, at that point, the titles weren't held that incredibly long, and that's pretty fucking impressive. I don't think he elevated the title really. I mean, he was like the epitome of like the placeholder guy. Like, they didn't really have anyone else to jump in and go for it. But I agree. Like, when you think of the Intercontinental title, you fucking think for some weird reason as the guy dressed as Elvis. I don't know. Out of all the things people have done with the title, that's one of the big things you think of, and I think that says a lot as far as being the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. So I'm also going to go, this is going to hurt my heart, but I'm going to pick Honky Tonk Man over Triple H. And we're going to go to Scott next.
Yeah, Triple H didn't have it much. He had it, 5 times, he said, but
Yep.
under 200 days. Honky had it twice as long, more than.
Yep.
I like everybody else. I think of Triple H losing it to Jeff. I think of Triple H with his thing with Rock, the ladder match. They tried to elevate it there, and that was one of the better periods. That was after Owen and Austin, so it was still kind of up there, trying to get elevated. And then when he won it again, it was kind of a cool thing when Benoit and Jericho were feuding at the Rumble. Then Triple H got it before that thing with Jeff.
Oh, that's
He's
right.
the second. He was the second guy after Pedro back in like the early '80s to have been world champion and then won the IC title again.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Like to win the IC title after winning the world title. That happens all the freaking time now, but he was the second one to do that. And to think of how long it's been around, that's kind of nuts.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make him a great one at all, though. That just means, okay, you're doing this.
Yeah, he did
No
his
one
job
thinks of
elevated,
Triple H. Yeah, no one thinks of Triple H as an IC champion. They think of him as a 12-time world champion. So he's never been an IC title guy. He unified it. Well, that wasn't great for the title either. Meanwhile, Honky Tonk Man, I mean, he had it. He took it from Steamboat. You're right. He literally came in 2 months after Steamboat had it, who wanted time off to be with his new kid, and they threw it on the Honky. And then over a year later, he's still got it, and that leads to an amazing moment with the Warrior, which stands up now. It's still a nuts moment. And that all came about just right place, right time, and he got it, and there you go. So, I mean, Honky even said himself, he is the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. I gotta go with that against Triple H.
All right. Well, Lee, are you going to pick the same thing?
Yeah, Honky Tonk Man, best chicken shit heel run, like kind of the epitome
Ever.
of the chicken shit heel title run. So yeah, and he made it work because he had that old school kind of mentality and way of working that just made you want to hate him and made you want to see him get beat.
Yep. Cool. All right. Well, yeah, easy, clean sweep. Back-to-back clean sweeps here. Honky Tonk Man goes over Triple H. Moving on to the next match. We're talking Pedro Morales versus the Ultimate Warrior. Scott, you want to kick this one off here?
Well, Pedro's the first guy to win. Anyway, that was an era when like San Martino had it for years, so Pedro's not going back or whatever. He's got the title. The Warrior was... It's funny because I'm a big comic book fan. I love the stuff, and I liked Hogan back in the day, but I liked Warrior more. He was just a little more fun, a little more batshit. So when he came along and did the thing with Honky, it was great. It was awesome. It was so much fun. Was he good? No. Did that matter? No. In this moment, anyway, like for the late '80s, it was perfect for what he did. And then, goddamn it, he went on to win the WWF Championship, defending the IC title from Hulk Hogan. That beats out Pedro. Pedro is one of the guys who helped define what it is, but Warrior is the only reigning IC champ to win the big one. I'm gonna go with that.
All right, Peanut, who you got?
Well, Ultimate Warrior, I know him. So, based on that fact,
Oh my god.
I got to go with Warrior.
All right.
And Pedro sounds Mexican, and I don't think we're allowed to have them on this podcast. So,
Puerto Rican.
close
enough.
I instantly regret having you on the show. And we're going to go to Mad Zion. Who you got?
Yeah, no, Scott made the perfect point. Pedro, we built the wall to keep you out. And Ultimate Warrior, I mean, Scott just made the perfect point. Ultimate Warrior challenged the heavyweight champion at WrestleMania. That's all. It doesn't matter that Ultimate Warrior did nothing else of note other than beating Honky Tonk Man in a really, really fun moment. I don't remember anything that Pedro did, and that's just a personal, problem. But that's also going to be the listener's problem because fuck you, we're building that wall, baby. Get out of here, Pedro. No pesos for Pedro. Matt, Ultimate Warrior gets the win.
Matt, Puerto Rico's part of the States.
No, it's not. Hey, that's fake news.
Okay. To put that in perspective with the title, Triple H was world champ and won the IC title to unify it, but that means nothing compared to the other way around. So
yeah, WrestleMania. Yeah, much bigger deal.
Yeah.
Okay, Lee, who you got?
Ultimate Warrior.
That sounded pained.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't really, honestly, again, I didn't watch a lot of Pedro Morales, and I don't like the Ultimate Warrior at all. I think he's dog shit, both as a wrestler and a human being, and I'm glad he's dead. But
oh god damn!
I'll just my condolences to his wife and kids, but you're probably better off now. Just saying.
Oh my god damn!
So that went from somebody's ACL tear to I'm glad you're dead.
Hey, listen, to his two daughters, at least I'm putting your daddy ahead in the brackets here, so the Ultimate Warrior gets to go ahead. There you go.
Oh my god!
Wow. Well,
thank you, Lee.
Damning praise I've ever heard.
So, obviously, my vote doesn't matter, but
here we go.
I'm pretty sad to see that Pedro is gonna fall so easily to the Ultimate Warrior here. Again, I already made the point of Don Muraco and Pedro Morales. They kind of built the title and made it what it was, but
only you care about that.
I like
think
it.
quite a few
I'm with you
people
on that. But you love the elevation of the Intercontinental Champion. He literally won the world title while Intercontinental Champion. He literally elevated and that was part of the match.
I literally totally just started talking. What's going on here? I think Ultimate Warrior was probably arguably a part of the biggest Intercontinental title match ever. Yeah, with his match with Hogan. I don't think there ever was a title match for that title, a match for that title bigger than that, ever. I don't think that I can recall off the top of my head. And it's crazy because the Intercontinental Champion beat the World Champion, and on top of that, it was, as you said, it was fucking Hulk Hogan. That's as big as you can get. And yeah, even though I think this was probably the second hardest match for me to call, but I think I would also pick Ultimate Warrior over Pedro Morales. But I just also want to point out that Pedro ended up defending his title successfully 95 times in his second title run. That's pretty impressive. But anyway, moving on to the next.
Let me go first.
We haven't even announced the winner of
Yeah, but I can see it.
Okay, yeah. Ultimate Warrior wins. Going on to the next match. Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect. Who you got, Matt?
Well, I'm gonna get even more.
Okay.
Even more
Zion. I said
evil.
Zion.
What? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Me. Yeah. Fuck you. I'm gonna get. I want to continue Lee's the desecration of this. So it's the best stroke victim there ever was versus the perfect victim of death, Mr. Perfect.
This is horrible.
So I think that this is a pretty interesting matchup. This might be the tightest one on the entire card, really, because both guys are so similar, and they were similar around one another as well at the same time. And I remember liking both matches. I always liked Mr. Perfect a little more than Bret Hart. I liked his character. I always found his matches to be a little more entertaining because Bret, even though Bret is real good, Bret always just had the same match over and over again. They were always great, but it always felt like if you've seen one Bret Hart match, you've pretty much seen every Bret Hart match. God damn, I don't know. I feel like they're almost at a deadlock. I got to pick one. So I'm going to go with who I personally enjoyed more, and I would say that was Mr. Perfect, even though I think I'm going to lose for sure.
No, I respect that. We're going to go on to Scott.
This is a really hard one as well, especially since these guys literally feuded over it. So it's kind of
that's crazy.
I think of one, I think of the other too, because Perfect lost to Bret, and that's what really solidified Bret's singles ability, I think, when he had that Mania match with him, and so much more from that. One of my favorite matches of all time is Bret and Piper at the next Mania for the IC title. I just remember that match being so much fun at WrestleMania 8, I think it was. And it's hard for me to not vote Bret. I'm a Canadian. Oh no! But Perfect helped define what this goddamn title means after Warrior had it. He helped bring in the work rate back from the Savage Steamboat kind of thing after Warrior, and kind of reconditioned you to think this is what this title means. And then Bret carried it from there, and then Michaels comes along, and et cetera, et cetera. So Perfect really helped redefine it, but I think it meant more to Bret in this overall, and he did more with it. He was one of those guys I remember early on when they called it a fighting champion. He would just defend all the time against everybody. And they were always similar, but I always liked what they were. So I'm going with Bret. Big surprise, I know. It's my avatar, but I don't care. Bret Hart.
All right, one for each. I guess I'll go next. This is goddamn. Yeah, definitely the hardest match to call here in the first round. Two of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Arguably, and two of the greatest Intercontinental Champions of all time. I can see these guys easily have possibly been in the finals against each other, but they happen to face each other in the first round, so somebody's getting fucked here. And when, at the end of the day, I go back and think, who was the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time? On one hand, you got Bret Hart, on the other hand, you got Mr. Perfect, but goddamn, guys, I think of Mr. Perfect way more than I do of Bret Hart as the Intercontinental Champion. Both guys did an amazing job putting the title in the best match of the night every single night for the whole, Mr. Perfect held it for 400 days, and Bret Hart held it for almost 300 days, which both the guys did a great job making the title what it is and carrying on the title as the worker man's title. And at the end of the day, though, this is basically a fucking tie. It's just who do I see holding the title when I close my eyes, and that's Mr. Perfect.
I think it also has to do with the fact that, when you think of Bret, even though Bret did go from IC to heavyweight, it helped evaluate him, it hurts them a little bit. I think when you think of a lot of these guys as heavyweight champion over IC, and Mr. Perfect is solely IC. He never went into the heavyweight.
Yeah,
I was going to say that. We said that with Triple H. I was going to say, a lot of memories, I'm sure people think of Bret's 5 world titles or his tag titles. I specifically remember the IC, so I'm able to really focus in there. But it was with Perfect, and it's a very good point.
Yeah, no, that's an amazing point. Yeah, because to me, Mr. Perfect is the Intercontinental fucking title. So, anyway, Peanut, who you got?
Well, the last 1 minute of this podcast
we're done now.
No, I mean, the last if you listen back the past minute, that's basically what I was going to say.
Oh, okay.
When you first said we were doing this tournament, the first person I thought of was Mr. Perfect. So I have to go with Mr. Perfect because he was honestly the first person I thought of when I found out we were doing the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time.
Okay.
So based on that fact, I got to go with Mr. Perfect.
That's a good reason right there. Best reason you've given the entire time. Lee.
The only reason he's given.
That's true. Lee, who do you got?
Both these guys made the belt elite. Like, they made it cool again and really elite, and really made it like that just amazing title to watch. But Mr. Perfect had I think Mr. Perfect just pulled it off more cooler. Like Bret Hart, again, like Matt said, pretty much every match he had, especially with this belt, was just the same fucking match over and over again. Mr. Perfect was a bumping fucking freak. He made his opponents look great. The only unfortunate thing with Mr. Perfect is that his career shortened. It was, the Lloyds of London thing, and he said, oh, I hurt my back. Oh, dear. I'm going to take some time off and collect some nice, sweet insurance money. And unfortunately, that kind of killed his career. Really stopped him from getting to that world title sort of ranking. But still, Mr. Perfect goes ahead. I just like his work better than Bret Hart's, and I like his characters better. And I think he did a bit more with the belt, just as far as a perfect combination of character and title reign. So
cool. Well, there it is. 4-1. Bret Hart goes down. Mr. Perfect advances.
I'm fine with that, even.
Yeah.
Still,
I think that's everybody. Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a fair one for that. Yeah.
Yep. All right. So moving on to the last match in the first round, we have Shawn Michaels versus Santino Marella. Okay. There was a lot of controversy here, debating on whether or not Santino needed to be in this tournament period. Rab was the big proponent on putting Santino in, but he is not here. So I'm kind of going to go first, but obviously Shawn Michaels wins by default for me. I'm just going to ask, why the fuck is Santino in this bracket when guys like Randy Orton, fucking Edge, Jeff Jarrett, fucking Stone Cold, The Rock, Cody Rhodes? I feel like all these guys should have been in it instead of Santino, but Peanut is here to explain to us why Santino needs to be in this bracket. So Peanut, you're going to go next. I picked Shawn Michaels. Who do you pick? And please tell us why Santino needs to be here.
Well, that's an impossible task. Santino needs to be here because he made children in the front row laugh. Okay. Based on that, my vote goes to Shawn Michaels.
No, you told us before we fucking started you're gonna be Rab, or you're gonna be Rab's voice here. What you have?
I'm
nothing?
American. Oh, I can't do that.
Oh my god. Okay.
Rab wasn't gonna vote for Santino. He just wanted him on the list. You know that.
I'll say what it was. He thought it was entertaining. He thought it was more entertaining than anything Orton did or Edge or all these ones, and he was looking at it from that aspect of it, because the other reigns weren't as impressive. Now, as far as I'm concerned, Shawn Michaels wins, and we can have Santino be there. We can put Edge. We can put Orton. I'm willing to say if anybody can name anybody not already on the list that would beat Shawn Michaels, we accept that vote, because I can't think of anybody. So, Michaels had a good reign with it. Good 3 reigns. He had traded with Jannetty briefly. He lost. He didn't lose his smile. He got beat up outside of a nightclub or whatever. It wasn't that great. It was literally he's biding his time before the world title. If anyone ever was, it was him. Santino had an amazing moment with Umaga.
Yeah, his debut. I remember two things.
That was a cool moment, but. Yeah.
I literally remember 2 things from Santino. I remember his debut when Vince called him into the ring and he fucking somehow beat Umaga. Fucking Lashley came out.
Somehow. Yeah.
And then I remember the honkometer, which is what I think that was Rab was big on, the honkometer, which is like every week he would come out and he would keep track of the weeks leading up to he wanted to pass Honky Tonk Man's reign as champion. And each week, like there was a little graphic that would pop up on the screen. Those are literally the only 2 things, but nothing nearly as good as anything that Jeff Jarrett ever did with the
interaction with Beth Phoenix.
Rab would have.
Yeah,
I think Rab would have.
The third good thing was when he got kneed in the head by Regal, who won the belt off him. He sold that great. Like that's it. The Santino's no. If anyone can say anyone better than Michaels, go for it.
So, all right,
Beth Phoenix is the best IC champion of all time.
China way better.
No, I mean, his interaction with Beth Phoenix. I always enjoyed their abusive relationship. How she was the man and he was the bitch. Mm-hmm. That was fun.
Yeah, it was pretty great.
Yeah, it's just Shawn Michaels. Honkometer was pretty fun, but I still stand by he had no business being on this list. I would have put Orton or Edge on the list instead.
Mm-hmm. All right, and Lee.
Comedy characters have no business being on this fucking list, and Santino Marella has no business being on anyone's fucking list of anything except for biggest dog shit characters and wrestlers ever. Go fuck
And
him.
best unibrow.
He did have a good
you can go
unibrow.
fuck. You can fuck right off.
Oh,
I
okay.
hate Santino.
All right. Well, there you go. With that, Shawn Michaels will advance to the next round. And another clean sweep there. That's, 3 in the first round. All right, so here we go. Moving on to the second round, we have Rick Rude versus Jeff Hardy. Lee, how about you go?
Da-na-na-na-na-na. Do I have to keep going?
Are you singing Adele? Because I'm down to join you. I'll do the vocals.
No, I was doing his
please let that
his stripper song.
Sounded like Adele.
Oddly enough, it sounded like a slow version of Jeff Hardy's song.
Oh, God.
Oh, okay, whatever.
No, I knew
if
you
it makes
went for Rude,
any
so
of you feel better, he had Jeff Hardy's face airbrushed on his tights while he was doing his dance.
Oh,
And he
okay.
still wins.
So you're going Rude. Okay. Scott.
I was going to do the Hardy theme, but no. No, everything we said before about Rude having more with what he did versus Hardy. Like, Hardy had some fun wars, but I think Rude just had a better one reign than everything Hardy did. Hardy did some cool stuff all over the place, but Rude did more with one 3-month reign. So, Rude.
Matt Zion.
Yeah, I don't know anything that Rude really did, and I know Jeff, so I'm going to be that pile of shit, and I'm going to vote for Jeff.
Okay. No, I'm gonna go next.
Pile of
And
shit.
I'm gonna go next. And you know what, Matt? You may not know what he did, what Rude did, but you wouldn't be missing much because, as I already said, I still am saying Rude is extremely over. He's a good wrestler. He's a great character. He deserved to be Intercontinental Champion, but his run was not fucking good. It was completely made by Ultimate Warrior. I stand by that 100%. I do not dislike Rick Rude at all. I do like Rick Rude. But when you're talking about greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, he is completely made by the Ultimate Warrior, and I would almost put his fucking reign under the Ultimate Warrior. I mean, that's a little unfair. But as far as Jeff Hardy goes, Jeff Hardy had a lot more memorable matches, a lot better opponents. He actually used the title for what it is supposed to do, help elevate you up to the championship. He did exactly what the Intercontinental title stands for, putting on the best show, putting on the best match of the night. And I'm gonna go with Jeff Hardy as well. You're not alone on this one, Matt. But
Thank you.
yeah, I know you really needed that. But Peanut, that means it's tied 2-2. Who gets the win, Rick Rude or Jeff Hardy?
This is tough, but not in a good sense, in the sense that, like, I don't think either of these guys will go to the finals and win, so I don't really care too much. Like I said earlier, I have more memories of Jeff Hardy. You know, down the line, you might not really remember any great Jeff Hardy Intercontinental Championship feuds, but I still think, like, Jeff Hardy as an Intercontinental Champion overall was entertaining and fun, so I got to go with Jeff Hardy.
All right. Wow. Okay.
Oh, wow.
All right. Well, Jeff Hardy is going to advance 3 votes to 2 votes. Jeff
And
Hardy.
Bomber,
over-
I'll throw you a bone here. Jeff Hardy was IC champion when he challenged Orton for the world title. Didn't win it, but one of the few to try like that.
Wow. Okay.
So there you go.
That's impressive.
Remember, that was at the Rumble,
Yeah,
I think
forget
it
about
was.
that.
And he was
Forgot about
IC
that.
champion on Raw and defended it against Orton and retained.
Impressive.
And Orton was the world champ. So there you go.
There you go. Well, there you go, folks. Now you
I remember that
fucking
build-up
know.
back in 07.
Now you know why he was better than Rick Rude, because he actually did something. So, moving on to the next match. We got, wow, this is a big one. Chris Jericho versus the Macho Man, Randy Savage. Scott, how about you kick this one off?
Oh, fuck. It's kind of similar to what I said about Razor and Macho Man, because Razor used to have the record of 4 reigns. Jericho has the record of 9, but again, nothing super noteworthy from what I was saying in there. It was, yeah, he's got the record, but that's not exactly great. in its own accord, but Macho Man is great. So for the same reasons I put him over Razor, I'm going to put Macho over Jericho. Macho Man wins it.
All right, it's one for Macho Man. Peanut, who you got?
Macho Man. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Lee, who you got?
Oh yeah, listen. Chris Jericho might have been tearing down those walls, but all that time Macho Man was slapping Miss Elizabeth in the face with his balls. Yeah.
Or with his hand, one or the other.
That too. Only when she got out of line.
All right, so I assume that's a Macho Man vote.
Dig it.
All right, there you go. That's 3 for Macho Man. Matt Zion, who you got?
I thought he was going to make a Trump joke. He was going to be like, Jericho's breaking down the walls, but I voted for Trump and he's going to build them.
There you go.
Yeah, Macho Man. So it's basically like the most reigns versus who I consider to be the best IC champion of all time. Jericho never used the belt to evaluate himself as heavyweight champion. That came later on after his IC stuff was done. Macho Man's like the perfect example of somebody who took the IC title and used it to become a heavyweight champion. And, a lot of people would even argue that Macho was better as IC champion than heavyweight champion. I kind of do agree with that. I think that Macho he's just the perfect guy to hold the IC title, and he still is in one of the best IC title matches of all time versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. So I'm going to go with Macho Man.
All right. I guess I'm the last guy to go. Not really mattering here, but a lot of people, when they think of this, when they think of the Intercontinental title, it depends. I think your age range. I think a lot of people, the younger generation, think Chris Jericho when they think of the Intercontinental title. We're a little bit older. I think that's why we think Mr. Perfect and stuff like that, Bret Hart, whatever. But I think a lot of people are going to be mad that Macho Man's going to get a clean sweep because I am as well picking Macho Man. But for everything you guys said, I agree. Chris Jericho it's extremely impressive. He held the title 9 times, but nothing huge jumped out during that time frame. Macho Man, just I remember when I first started watching wrestling, Macho Man was the champion. I didn't know much. I saw him as holding the belt. I thought he was the main guy. I was not a Hogan fan. I was a Macho Man fan. So I thought Macho Man was the big champion at that when I was watching back in the day. So I think that says a lot for when I was younger, how high I held Macho Man up, and that Intercontinental title. So I as well am going to pick Macho Man over Chris Jericho. And I'm sorry guys, but Chris Jericho has just been just got the clean.
He just made the list.
He just made the list, and he just got swept by the Macho Man, Randy Savage. So moving on, I think this is going to be an easy one, but we'll see how it goes. Honky Tonk Man versus the Ultimate Warrior. Scott, go for it. Oh, I'm dancing.
Warrior beat Honky in 90 seconds.
Yes, that is hilarious.
So, Honky's one of the greatest at being the guy who you want to see get beat. Warrior's the perfect guy to beat him. This has happened to happen in the bracket, but I'm going with Warrior, not to drag things on, but it's not just because he literally beat him to win the title. I just think Warrior did more with what he did of it and elevated than Honky. Honky was main eventing all over when he had it because they had split shows back then with Hogan, whatever, and Honky and Savage, I think. But Warrior, he literally did more, I think. So Warrior wins.
All right, I'm going to go. Warrior did more for this title than almost everybody on this list. There may be some that you can argue with, but dude, like I said, the biggest match in that title's entire history, and there's been 140 some or 100 and some, over 100 different title changes and stuff. But Honky Tonk Man, on the other hand, though, you got to give the dude credit. He played the best fucking part possible as far as the guy who did all the shady shit just to hold on to that title and do whatever it takes to make sure he walks out. I'm pretty sure more than half of his title defenses were by DQ or fucking count out or some shady bullshit. And everyone wanted to see him lose, and he played that part better than a lot of people. And as great as it is, and as long as his run was, unfortunately, it is not as big as Ultimate Warrior's runs. So I also am picking Ultimate Warrior. Peanut, who do you have in this match?
I mean, I'm actually not like a huge Ultimate Warrior fan. I mean, I think Lee's a bigger fan than I am.
Wow.
Oh, God. That bad, huh?
Oh, wait. No. Hmm.
Don't listen to these people, Peanut. Make your own decision.
I know
That's what this is about.
No, I'm just like Honky Tonk Man. I mean, like he's just. When I think of Intercontinental title, he's one of those people I think of as the Intercontinental Champion. My mind does not go there for Ultimate Warrior besides that great WrestleMania moment, a moment that will live on in WrestleMania history forever.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I think Honky Tonk Man was more entertaining, even to like look back on and watch, because I was definitely not watching him during his initial run.
Mm-hmm.
But I like Honky Tonk Man more, so I'm going to vote with him.
Nothing wrong with that at all. That's a valid point. How about we go with Matt Zion?
Yeah, I'm going with Honky Tonk Man.
Holy shit.
Ultimate Warrior has one of the best IC title moments, but then you could also argue that it's really more about the heavyweight title and beating Hogan than it was the IC title. Like the IC title was an aftermath or afterthought, because right after that it just nobody cared. Like that, it was all about the heavyweight title. And obviously Warrior beating Honky Tonk Man was another good moment. But Honky Tonk's just that dude that you just, when you think of the IC title, you think of him. Like he's just one of those guys. He's got that. He's not going to win this thing, but I definitely associate the IC title more with Honky Tonk Man than I ever will with Ultimate Warrior. So the only reason that Warrior beat Pedro is because that wall was being built and he wasn't allowed in. So Honky Tonk Man, you get the win in my view. Let's do this thing. Let's push him forward, guys. Come on.
Wow.
Get fake Elvis to win.
So that's 2-2 right now. Believe it or not, I did not think this was gonna be that close, but there it is. Lee,
You underestimated T Matt.
Lee, it's all in your hands. This is gonna be interesting. Who you got?
This all boils down to who the bigger, most bitter piece of shit is in the business, and really, the Ultimate Warrior takes the cake as far as that goes, so he has to lose. The Honky Tonk Man has to go forward because he's not as big a piece of shit as the Ultimate Warrior was.
Hold on now.
Also his no, you fucking hold on. Shut up. His run was much more significant and entertaining than the Ultimate Warrior's was. No one gave a fuck about the Ultimate Warrior after he won the belt. No one can remember his IC title run that was so amazing. No one gave a crap that he actually won the belt. All they were interested in is that he was going to face Hogan. That's all there was to it. It's like, oh, he runs to the ring, he runs out of breath. The Honky Tonk Man's got a fucking belly on him, and he still didn't get gassed in his matches. He could actually, work a match. The
because
Ultimate Warrior
he just rolled out of the ring and got countouts or hit people with weapons and shit.
Still, if Warrior did that, he'd be dead.
True. Hey, now, don't bring CZW into this. All right. So you're picking Honky Tonk Man.
Right.
All right. Well, there it is. Honky Tonk Man gets the advance. 3 votes to 2. Honky Tonk Man advances.
Come behind sweep.
Yeah, advances over Ultimate Warrior. Wow. Yeah, Ultimate Warrior was up 2-0 and then dropped down. All right. Here we go. In the last match of the second round, Mr. Perfect versus Shawn Michaels. I guess I'll start this one off. Yeah, Mr. Perfect, as I already said, when I think of the Intercontinental title, I see it around Mr. Perfect's waist. He was I just think it's a crime against the world that he never went on to hold the world title. But I think, as Matt pointed out earlier, which I didn't think about, I think that actually does help his image as being the Intercontinental Champion, which is pretty unique to think about. And I think that's actually why I see him as one of the reasons why I see him as a much better Intercontinental Champion than Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels had some good stuff. Him and Marty Jannetty had a pretty good feud. They had some decent matches and had some stuff. But overall, though, I mean, Shawn Michaels did use the title as it was meant to be used for and help elevate you to move on to get the world title. But, man, Mr. Perfect all the way for me. Hands down, Mr. Perfect over Shawn Michaels. We're going to go to Peanut first, or next. Goddamn, who you got?
First, okay.
Next.
Well, when I think of this like tournament, I'm not going by like who had the Intercontinental title, and then they used it to get the world title. I'm like, my mind's going to who I'm thinking of first when I think of the word Intercontinental Champion. And as I said last time, the first person I thought of was Mr. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Shawn Michaels is great as champion, but Mr. Perfect, I think, is the Intercontinental Champion. So my vote goes with Mr. Perfect.
All right, there you go. Zion.
Michaels is a pretty good, like, he definitely deserves to be higher on the list, because I think he took the belt and he continued on to what like Perfect and like Bret Hart did with it. Like Michaels made it even better. But again, you look at Michaels and you just kind of think of he became, heavyweight champion. I saw him as like the main event guy on their shows, whereas the IC title is kind of the secondary belt, and Mr. Perfect just kind of personifies it. Like I would say he's just as good at that level, the IC level. Him and Michaels were on par with each other in terms of ability. I think Michaels obviously got much better, because I still think Shawn Michaels is the best wrestler of all time, in my opinion. But Mr. Perfect is awesome. Like he's so good, and I think it sucks that a lot of people, like of the newer wrestling fans, will never really know how good he was, because he was such a larger than life character. He was just great in the ring. He was just so much fun. I'm gonna give it to Mr. Perfect, which is not saying Shawn Michaels is bad, because he was a really good IC champion, but Perfect is much more associated with the IC title, in my opinion.
All right, Scott.
Yeah, Michaels is one of the best. I mean, it almost seems silly to say that. Everybody knows that. But his IC title history, like when you think of it, you don't really think of that, except for the ladder matches with Razor, which I'm surprised we hadn't mentioned until this point. I honestly forgot. I'm like, oh yeah, that was him. Yeah. Now, Perfect though is like the consummate IC title guy. Like I was the only one who voted for Bret, but honestly, Perfect is a hard one to not vote for. I gotta go with Perfect on this, because he's just so much more of an IC title guy than Michaels. Michaels' reigns were kind of truncated, it seemed. Like they ended weird. He had the one vacated. The Dean Douglas kind of won the other one by forfeit. So only technically lost one match. Here's a stat you'll like, though. They both held it 406 days.
Really?
Over their reigns.
They tied?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
I was like, who had it longer? Oh, both had it 406. That's weird.
So Michaels had it three times, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But it was kind of almost a passing of the torch, even though they never really fought over it. I don't believe they might have had a match here or there, but I got to go with Perfect. He's just known so much more for that IC title than Michaels is. Granted, Michaels went on to win the world title, but yeah, he elevated from it. But the way it always feels like is he was gonna go there anyway. Here's your placeholder for now, is how it felt with him in the title. Like he didn't need it to get there. I felt, I might be wrong on that, but the Perfect is just the more known IC title guy. Yeah,
and yes, they definitely did fight for the title. By the way, I didn't want to jump in on you, but
okay.
Anyway,
they didn't trade it, but yeah, they did fight.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. Yeah, Shawn Michaels defended. Anyway, Lee, what you got?
Yeah, it's got to be Mr. Perfect. I'm not a big fan of Shawn Michaels in ring. Honestly, that's probably going to get me some criticism. But I've never liked his work. Honestly, I mean, I recognize he's a good worker, but I've never been excited by him all that much in the ring. It's been more the opponent he's faced with that's made any of his really classic matches for me. And I just think of Mr. Perfect when I think of that belt, and I can't remember for the fucking life of me anything Shawn Michaels really did with that belt except for the Marty Jannetty feud and the ladder match, and those things don't really stack up to me compared to Mr. Perfect's run with it. So, wow. Mr. Perfect.
Wow. You know what? I hope that your favorite of all time, Macho Man, dies soon.
I was about to. Wow.
Hope he dies.
He's already dead.
Dies.
But
I hope he gets into an automobile accident saving his wife. It's very specific about how I'm saying this, but I hope it happens.
This video came out in 2002, by the way.
Sounds like someone's a little bitter.
Oh, God, watch out for that pole, dig it.
God.
That's what I used to tell Miss Elizabeth.
Oh, there it is.
Watch out for that door frame.
With you saying that though, that's gonna make our greatest wrestler of all time bracket pretty interesting tournament that we're gonna do later on. That's gonna.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah, as soon as you said that, I was like, wow, that's gonna make things interesting. All right, anyway, that's later on. We're in the semifinals. We're talking Jeff Hardy versus Macho Man. I'll go first. First of all, how the fuck is Jeff Hardy in the semifinals of this tournament?
He's better than Rick Rude, Tito Santana, and Don Muraco.
He is
It's
not
what the Hart do.
No.
You were a tag tournament.
I remember the tag tournament, and the Hardy Boys are the Hardy Boys. I can see that happening, but as far as Jeff Hardy and against Muraco, Santana, and I agree with Rude. But
I mean, once you look at it this way, though, if it was Macho Man in his IC title prime versus Jeff in his IC title prime, that would have been a fucking awesome match.
I do
real
agree.
Good. Like, that would have been a WrestleMania IC title, second only to the main event match.
Yeah.
That would have been fucking great. So how dare you? Don't talk down to Jeff. Just fucking vote for Macho Man. Stop your propaganda nonsense so I can vote for Jeff Hardy to piss you off. Let's go.
Because Macho's gotten clean sweeps all the way so far.
He has, and the fact that he got a clean sweep against Chris Jericho easily shows that he's going to make it to the finals. Yeah, Macho Man by far over Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy, it's a miracle he made it this far. He is a great wrestler. Was a good Intercontinental Champion. Doesn't even come close to the Macho Man and his Macho Man's one match against Steamboat. Even when Macho Man lost that match, he was indeed a greater Intercontinental Champion from one match than Jeff Hardy was. So I'm gonna pick Macho Man, and we're gonna go on to Matt. We'll let you go next since you want to do something interesting here.
Jeff Hardy is the greatest wrestler that ever lived, the greatest lover that ever loved. And I'm definitely voting for Macho Man. Obviously, I think he's probably the best IC champion of all time. But I think Jeff did deserve to be higher up on the list for sure. I think he deserves this spot, but he definitely doesn't deserve to go into the finals.
I agree with that. All right. Well, that's 2 for Macho Man. Peanut, who do you got?
Macho Man.
He gave that one some thought.
You know what? I'm gonna pick Macho Man. Okay. All right. Well, that's 3 for Macho Man. Scott, who you going with?
Yeah, Macho Man. We got a 16-man tournament. There's been 160 IC title reigns, and we were scraping for some names. I'm not saying Jeff Hardy's one of those, but it just was like, oh, we got him in there because he had a noteworthy run, I guess. Sure. When I think IC title holders, I don't think Jeff Hardy off the bat. But I think of him because I think of guys who went on to do some stuff who also held it. So Macho Man, though, yeah, he did a lot. He's one of the biggest names ever, but his IC title reign was just that good. So Macho Man.
And people that are rich and that love the history of titles are really going to be mad that Jeff Hardy made it this far. But that's unfortunate for them. So Lee,
what are you talking about? I love title history, and I'm fine with him being that far. What are you talking about?
I think he's fine being there. You just fucking need any reason to bury somebody.
He's one of the better parts of his era.
You're a fucking politician, bro. You'd be great at
You're
it.
saying
all
I'm
you're doing
burying
is
Jeff
talking
Hardy.
the opponent down.
You're saying
You're always talking the opponent down instead of talking your guy up. That's so political.
You're saying I'm burying Jeff Hardy. Meanwhile, I fucking love Jeff Hardy. There's no burying it at all. I'm just saying that he should have never came close to beating Don Muraco. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, let's see what you got.
That's your opinion, and that's what your opinion matters. So,
and it is wrong.
It was my vote, and my vote was the minority, so it didn't advance. So, Lee, who do you got?
Listen, let me tell you something. This Jeff Hardy should have renamed himself Jeff Hardly because he hardly stands a chance against the Macho Man. Yeah, he's gone.
All right, he's gone. There you go. Macho Man.
No matter what tournament we do, we have to put Macho Man in it, and that's why.
Yep. Macho Man gets another clean sweep to the finals. That says a shitload right there in itself. But anyway,
No, it doesn't. It just says Are you taking another shot at Jeff Hardy? Holy fuck.
No, I'm taking a shot. I'm not taking a shot at anyone. I'm saying it says a lot that Macho Man got a clean sweep, showing that he's fucking amazing. That's literally
this is Jake.
It's
No.
Muraco.
I'm just saying that Macho's really good, and Jeff Hardy's penis is small and inferior in every way.
You're crazy. I'm
Don Muraco was
no. You're
Don
getting
Muraco was in the semifinals. There definitely wouldn't have been a clean sweep. It
No,
would've-
you guys are 100% wrong. No, I said that 100% to say that Macho Man is fucking amazing, and it says a lot that he beat guys like Razor, Chris Jericho in clean sweeps. That says a lot. That's literally what I meant.
You notice he left out Jeff Hardy when he
I did leave out Jeff Hardy. You're right.
Neil, I appreciate your support, but you're really being hard on this Hardy kid.
Yeah, come on. After Honky Tonk and Mr. Perfect, though, let's do what we agreed on. Nobody really heard this because we talked about it before, but we're gonna do Macho Man versus either Honky Tonk Man or Mr. Perfect, whoever wins, versus Daniel Bryan for the best IC champion of all time.
I don't. When did you talk about that? Was I in the room?
You
For
got a
that?
fourth. You got a
It was coded in the song.
3-round bye.
All right. Anyway, the Honky Tonk Man versus Mr. Perfect. Peanut, go for it. So far, you've been saying both of these guys are who you see as the Intercontinental Champions. This should be big for you.
I was gonna say these are number 2 and number 3. I mean 1, 2, and 3 on my list. Don't want to spoil anything.
You kind of did.
These guys are in the top 3 of who I think of. Honky Tonk Man is great, but I think, as I kind of said last time, Mr. Perfect is the Intercontinental Champion. I got to put him through into the finals.
Say that one more time just so you feel good about it. Just one last time. That last sentence.
Don't do it. Don't let him fucking push you around.
Actually,
I'm going to vote for Jeff Hardy.
I kind of zoned out for real. I didn't hear who you picked. Who was it? I didn't want to embarrass myself by
Mr.
ask.
Perfect.
You picked Miss Perfect? Okay. No, I did not hear what you said. So okay.
Wow, phenomenal job as a moderator.
I am the moderator that listens to all. All right, Lee, who you got?
Yeah, I got to go Mr. Perfect this time around because I'd say both of these guys had probably the most sort of in the transitional period of the title from like classic era to modern era. Like these guys were sort of in the last years of the classic era and kind of moving on into the sort of modern era of the IC title to a certain degree. And I'd say these two had the most significant heel runs with the belt. And I think Mr. Perfect just did it slightly better because he was a great heel with the belt, and he was also the heel who could defend the belt and actually win matches. You know, he didn't have to take the cheap way out necessarily. So I liked his stuff better in that regard. So he gets the nod over Honky Tonk Man.
All right, Scott.
All of that pretty much. These are guys who both kind of got this far, and I don't mean this in any negative way, but they got this far because when you think of IC title holders, you think of these two guys, and for very similar reasons, but different as well. Because Honky was the one you wanted to see beat and always cheated his way out of it, and you wanted to see him get his comeuppance. Perfect was the one you wanted to see get beat, but he was just good enough to not get beat. And he cheated, or had Heenan out there helping or something. It was like, oh, he doesn't need to cheat, but he does. God damn it. The good guy almost got him this time, and that's how it always went. I always enjoyed Perfect more than Honky Tonk in that regard. Seeing his matches were just more, there was more to it. It was more interesting. So I'm going with Perfect.
All right. I guess I'll go real quick. Yeah, Honky Tonk Man was fun. He did what he had to do. He held the title while really nobody else was around to do it. That's pretty much the purpose he served, and he did it fucking great. He really did a good job with it. And these are the two, in my opinion, like when you think Intercontinental Champion, these are the top two guys you think of, like as far as like just visualizing who the Intercontinental Champion is. Not necessarily who the greatest champion was of all time, but when you think of who it is, these are the top two names you probably think of off the top of your head. Well, and Jericho, but okay. Anyway, but guys, it's fucking Mr. Perfect. He was amazing. The matches were fucking great. It just, there's no real, the bottom line, no real comparison between these two besides the length of title run is the only thing really holding Honky Tonk still in this tournament, I think. And yeah, that's pretty much it. He did have it for the longest, and I don't see anybody ever topping that. And that's cool that a guy that dressed like Elvis is probably going to go down as the longest champion ever, Intercontinental Champion ever, which is fucking awesome. But Mr. Perfect, bar none, is in this match the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, in my opinion. That's Mr. Perfect. So, who didn't go? Matt, you didn't go yet, right, Zion?
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
This match is almost as easy to call as Randy Orton's bloodlust and killing tiny Indian midgets after Jinder Mahal won the WWE title last night as of filming this. Yeah, it's no brainer. But Honky Tonk Man, good stuff for what he was going for and what they wanted him to do. Perfect for that. But Mr. Perfect gets the win. No real problem there.
All right. So that's Mr. Perfect advancing to the finals to face off against Macho Man. And just looking at when you're looking at the brackets, is this who you saw initially in the finals?
Macho for sure. I thought, who's the other one that I saw? I thought it was going to come down to probably like either these two or I thought Jericho was going to have a chance to be there. But then once I saw him on the Macho Man one, that was the end of Jericho.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Macho Hart.
Yeah, I'm realizing aside from my Bret Hart pick, both of these guys made it with clean sweeps, I think.
Yes.
No, the perfect sweep, Michaels?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, nobody voted for Michaels. Yeah, good
he
call.
did.
Yeah, but
Outside
he didn't sweep Bret, though. You fucked him. You didn't make him perfect.
outside
That's
of
why
that
he's going to
one
lose
bit.
this whole tournament. Good job.
Yeah, good shit. We could have had a undefeated guy versus undefeated guy in the finals, but you fucked that. No, I'm kidding. No, that against Bret Hart, that's perfectly fine. But no, I honestly thought it was going to be Mr. Perfect versus Chris Jericho based off of like our pattern for liking more recent stuff over the older generation stuff. So I'm actually surprised to see Macho Man in there. Not saying that he doesn't deserve it. Not saying he doesn't deserve it. I picked Macho Man over Chris Jericho, but I'm just saying I thought initially it was going to be Jericho versus Perfect. But I didn't. Yeah. So here we go, guys. Does anybody want to start this one off? I always ask that before we go on to the final one.
Peanut. I think I trust Peanut.
Oh, God. I think Peanut should go last in case we're at a
No,
a
I trust Peanut.
Okay.
You asked, and I said I want Peanut to go first.
Okay.
I love you, Peanut. You have won my love back over.
All right, Peanut.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to sway everyone's opinion here with my main event pick. And Macho Man, thanks.
You got me. Yep, I agree.
You're the
Wow,
man.
thank
That's
you.
why.
Such
You're...
eloquence. My
How it
God.
counts.
Yep. Scott, who do you have in this one?
Okay. Well, again, when we think back on these guys, Perfect, we just said Perfect is kind of the prototypical guy you think of when you think of this stuff. You might not think Macho Man first, but I did like what Macho Man had more, maybe? But then he went on to be the world champ and all that fun stuff, and that was great. He had one of the best matches, but again, I love Bret's match with Perfect as well, as I said. So if we're talking the greatest IC champion, like what they did with the title and where they went from there, you kind of got to go with Macho Man for the world titles eventually and stuff, but I think Perfect had the better actual reigns as the champ. Even though he did drop it to Kerry Von Erich for, I think, a couple days. He got it back, and he made the most of it, and it really is a toss-up. I almost want to flip a coin just to pick which one, but I'm going to go with Perfect, I think, and I'm kind of surprised by myself on that, but after the whole tournament, everything I've said about Perfect just outweighs Macho just a little bit in my eyes, so I'm going with Perfect.
Okay, nothing wrong with that. Zion, who you got?
Yeah, no, Macho Man. There's only one reason why I think he gets the win on it is because he completed the final reason why the IC title is supposed to be the IC title. Perfect never became heavyweight champion, and it elevated Macho Man to heavyweight title status. But like, it never. The difference between like Michaels or Bret Hart is, I feel like their run as heavyweight champion overshadowed their run as IC champion, but Macho Man's IC title, I think, overshadowed his heavyweight title. Not completely. It's very close. but I always do think of the IC title on Macho before I think of the heavyweight belt. So I think Macho Man takes it.
God damn it, that's a really good point.
All right. I guess I'll jump in there. This is pretty difficult. Personal wise, if I look through it, yeah, this would be my finals. This is not what I thought it was going to be, but if I did it by myself, did the tournament by myself, this would be the finals probably for me. So it's pretty interesting. Man, Macho Man had some fucking great rivalries as the fucking champion. Fucking Steamboat. He had good stuff with Santana, even George Animal Steel, which I don't think we even fucking brushed on that yet. There was some fucking great stuff with that. But that match with Steamboat, though, possibly one of the greatest Intercontinental title matches, period. It's definitely up there. You know what? I think we might need to do a bracket on that one day. 16 of the greatest Intercontinental title match. There's a lot. There's the ladder matches. There's a lot of stuff. Anyway, sorry, I get sidetracked these, but that's a lot for Macho Man. Mr. Perfect, though, it's got a lot fucking too, dude. It's the guy, to me, is Mr. Intercontinental title. He is Mr. Intercontinental title to me. He's everything that the title represents as far as the worker's worker, going out there and fucking just nailing it, man. So this is fucking tough. But man, I'm sorry. When at the end of the fucking day, as I always say, I'm just looking at it, closing my eyes. Who is the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time? And I got to go with Mr. Perfect. When I think of the Intercontinental Champion, I think of Mr. Perfect. When I think of some of the best matches overall, Mr. Perfect. Macho Man did have that one great one, yes, but overall, man, Mr. Perfect is gonna be my selection for this finals here. So that unfortunately means it's gonna be up to Lee. We know what you've been doing recently, but is it gonna change? Here you go, Lee. It's all in your hands. It's 2-2, 2 for Perfect, 2 for Macho Man. Who do you have as the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time?
Okay, let me break it down for you here, Bomber, just a little bit, okay, yeah. Listen, Mr. Perfect is a great wrestler. Yeah, he had a lot of great matches as IC champion. He had curly blonde hair, and he had a really cool singlet, yeah. He beat the Texas Tornado, only had 1 foot, yeah. But there's one thing that Mr. Perfect didn't have that the Macho Man Randy Savage had, yeah. And you know what that is?
What's that?
You want to know what that is?
Yeah, what's that?
He never got to bang Miss Elizabeth on a condominium on the moon, yeah. And that's why I'm the greatest IC champ of all time. Take it to the bank, take it to the pay window, yeah, dig it.
But what if it comes out that he did get to bang Miss Elizabeth raw dog style?
Whoa.
That'll be fake photos like Ric Flair had.
Yeah.
That sounds like something Ric Flair would have said, and he's a liar.
He's a liar.
Well, I assume with that, ladies and gentlemen, that means the Macho Man is going to get the win as the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time.
And Bomber, can I just say, the fact of how much deliberation we both had, yes.
Sure.
Agreed, right?
I can see it.
I had not.
Everyone has an opinion.
As long.
Everyone has an opinion
on that one. No, but you deliberated so long on that one, almost with Macho. So did I. This could have easily been a clean sweep, if not for just maybe this. It could have been a sweep for Macho all the way.
I think,
as the poor queen said, resistance is futile. Yeah.
I think out of all our tournaments, this is probably the closest finals match that we've had that I can recall off the top of my head. But and guys, if this is your first time watching Best in the Business, the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, we have other brackets, other tournaments. We break it down. We've done a 32 bracket tournament for the best WrestleMania main event of all time, and a lot of others, greatest hardcore wrestler of all time, and so on and so forth, tag team, all that good stuff. And we got more to come, but Macho Man gets the win here. Guys, are you satisfied? Is everybody satisfied with this? Peanut, are you happy?
Yeah, I predicted it from the start, so I'd like to say I kind of carried the whole bracket. So Yeah, I'm satisfied.
You did. Okay, and ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed Peanut's very last time ever on this show.
See you later, buddy.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Future endeavors.
But seriously though, guys, it was fun. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we will catch you guys on the next bracket in the next tournament. Bye.
Jinder Mahal,
Champion. Champion.
WWE champion.
Jinder
At
Mahal,
Jobber Radio, jobradio.com. Get it all in there.
I was. Yep. Scott knew where I was going.
Audiotrial.com, yeah.
Let's not plug anything.
Let's plug ourselves first.
Blue Apron, yeah.